Hello and welcome to Gold and Silver Assets. I'm Diora and it's Sunday the 9th of January 2022. So good to see you all back here. So today we're just going to do a market report and I've entitled this Going Nowhere Slow, which kind of just sums things up really. We didn't really miss very much in the last couple of weeks. Other than, of course, your scintillating conversation, of course. I'm talking about the gold and silver price here. So we'll start with gold priced in US dollars, and I think today we'll look at things on the weekly scale and we'll also look at a few things like volume. So I think when I left you, price was here and it's still here. So haven't really done much really. And we're still in this sideways ranging movement, and until we get out of this, we have no way of knowing which direction this is going to break out. If it breaks down, we're looking at around 1600, and of course upwards, who knows. So let's one thing I wanted to point out was that, of course, we always look at gold price in US dollars, but it's also good to look at it in other currencies, because you do see sometimes a slightly different pattern. So this is gold in Australian dollars. And you can see here, this goes back to 2018, down here when that big move really got going all the way up here. Then it went in this downtrend and it broke out of that middle of last year. And since then, this trend line has held over here. So we've got one touch here, couple of three touches there really, and then another touch here. And this price movement, you can see it's in a uptrend over here. We've got higher lows here. And so what we're looking for is this trend line to not get tested again, ideally. We seem to have this kind of little triangular formation going on over here. Maybe a smaller one like that, or it could be a kind of descending triangle almost. So yeah, if we do break down, just watch that trend line over there. But yeah, I guess this is just to say it's not a sideways movement necessarily in other currencies. Okay, and then I thought, well, let's look at volume. And so first of all, at the bottom here, I've got the volume, and you can see that ever since this peak over here, volume has been declining and continues to decline. So that's a positive. And the other thing is that this is the volume by price over here. And so obviously the biggest amount of support is over here at around 1300, 1350 kind of area. But look, I don't imagine that would get down as low as that. But you've heard all these well, some people talking about price going well below $1,000. This kind of suggests that it would get stuck over here. So I think it's very unlikely to go below that. But where is support nearer than that? Obviously, we don't want to see price go that low. And so what we're looking at is these bars over here, which correspond to these two levels here, really. And so looking at it, you can see there's a slightly lower volume here and kind of marginally higher volume over here. But basically, this is a good chunk of support here. And of course, we've got all this price action here, which is being supportive as well. So I think if we do break below this 1680 level, then the next support would be 1600. And unless something really bizarre went on, I would doubt it would go below that at that point. On the upside, of course, then we've got the other side where this is actually represents resistance up here, which kind of that basically we're looking at around 1900, really 1850 1900 level for that to have thin air above there as well. So as I said, I'm not a clairvoyant. I can't tell you which direction it's going to go, but at least we can have some ideas about where support and resistance could be. Next, we'll look at silver in a similar way. And again, with all this up and down price action, volumes have been really low. And, this last dump here that we had in the past week, the volume was below average there, I'd say. And this shows that we're actually, compared to gold, we're much closer to that support there. So I would say that it's unlikely to go below $20. And we're kind of just at I think we're at this level here. I tried to move all these bars to go on this side, but I couldn't work out how to do that and didn't have time. But I'll look into that if there's a way, because that makes it much easier to see what's going on there. But this would suggest that the downside is much more limited compared to the upside. Of course, another thing is time, which is also an issue. And so, even down here, you could have said, well, look, the downside is limited compared to the upside. But of course, you had these years of faffing up and down in this trading range. And so that's, for me, that's always the big unknown element, is the time element. And I've tried looking at various kind of indicators and things, but I just haven't come up with anything that's particularly useful. I know quite a few of you suggested various things, but yeah, I couldn't really get them to work for me, but I'll keep plugging away. Next we have the gold miners. So this is the GDX on the weekly scale, and we've talked about how weird this is, how volumes are actually higher. So basically, look, when we have price action like this, usually the volume follows that kind of pattern, but in fact we've got the opposite over here. And so with this big run up here, the volume was actually dropping, which I found strange at the time as well. But volumes continue to remain low during this drop over here as well. Where's our support in terms of volume? Well, we're at this kind of level over here, and so we're looking, if there is more support below, we're looking at this kind of area here, which is in the kind of high 20s, and that will coincide with this kind of volume bar here. And so, yeah, it just kind of feels like this is starting to wear out. I'm not expecting any kind of major boom, boom like that. Any sudden surprises like that. But yeah, I think everyone's worn out by all of this. Even a lot of some of the most seasoned people in the field, I've been noticing, they've been saying how unusually long that this has been taking. And that's what you want to look for, is when people are maximally worn out. But the problem is, of course, it's so subjective. You just don't know. Because I thought down here people were pretty worn out, but yeah, it just keeps going, doesn't it? So there's no objective way to know when every single bull or well, the vast majority of bulls have thrown in the towel. So yeah, in terms of downside, I don't know. I just feel like we're getting close now. I get the feeling there might be one more little push down, in which case this area here, I think maybe about 28 might be some support there. And then we'll look at the junior miners, where we've got a different kind of appearance here. So to me, this looks like a squeezing kind of consolidation pattern since 2013. So it's a large pattern, which suggests that the next move will be rather large once we break out of here. This is very different from the GDX in that volumes have been increasing over here quite substantially. Nobody was interested in in silver miners along here, and even this massive move up here, there weren't many people in the market. Well, for this ETF, of course, you've got to bear in mind this is an ETF rather than looking at individual miners. And so as a result of this also, because most of the interest was around this area here, we've got the volume price bars that look according to that as well. And so, the lower price goes, the less and less support there is. But look, I don't think it's going to go all the way down here. Usually with these consolidations, you get 3 touches on one side and 2 on the other. So we've got our 2 over here, and we've got 3 touches over here, kind of roughly here. And so I think this is just going to be a partial decline before turning around. But of course, we don't know how far down this thing's going to go. It's looking weak at the moment in the last week or so. I think if it does go low, we're looking at around 10 area here. We've got this price action here, and kind of this area here, which would be supportive there. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking in terms of the silver junior miners. Right, well, that's it from me. I hope you all had a nice couple of weeks, restful and peaceful. I spent a bit of time in the natural world, and it was fabulous. It's so relaxing and peaceful. Anyway, so I feel refreshed. I hope you all had a lovely, lovely time. Over here, of course, in the southern hemisphere, we've got fabulous weather, and we've had fabulous weather the whole time as well. Right, that's it from me. All the best. See you next week. Bye.